Hello and welcome to World News on the Hour here on TVP World with me, Hashim Kumar. Over 1,300 Iranian civilians have been killed so far, according to the country's envoy to the UN, as the Israeli-American war on Iran enters its second week. Israel struck several military sites in Iran overnight, as well as Tehran's biggest commercial airport, destroying a plane on the tarmac. Tehran's residents called the past night the worst since the beginning of the conflict, with a large number of massive explosions. Plumes of smoke were also seen above Lebanon's capital, Beirut, as Israeli forces attacked the Iran-allied Hezbollah paramilitary group. Iran, for its part, hit Israeli territory with Iranian missiles intercepted over Tel Aviv, triggering sirens across the city. The Iranians also struck offices and warehouses belonging to US oil firms in the Iraqi city of Basra. The only satisfactory end to the war in Iran for US President Donald Trump is Iran's unconditional surrender. But with no clear end to the strikes in sight, there is growing concern of the conflict taking Trump's attention away from the war in Ukraine.
Another day of US and Israeli strikes on Iran and Lebanon. And in the Oval Office, a moment of prayer.
Continue blessing and favor to rest upon him.
You want to see me do it again?
In stark contrast to official communication from the White House, which used a children's cartoon to celebrate successful attacks.
You want to see me do it again?
The question now is, what is the end goal for the United States? President Trump says unconditional surrender.
There will be no deal with Iran except unconditional surrender. After that and the selection of a great and acceptable leader, we and many of our wonderful and very brave allies and partners will work tirelessly to bring Iran back from the brink of destruction.
I think the president's having a heck of a say in who runs Iran, given the ongoing operation we have. So there's no expansion in our objectives. We know exactly what we're trying to achieve.
The United States and Israel have so far eliminated most of the Iranian regime's top command, including Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. But then again, the Ayatollahs have often been compared to the multi-headed Hydra for a reason.
But Iran is not Syria under Bashar al-Assad, a one-man show. And when you get rid of this man, everything is being solved. The Iranian regime has backing from within some sectors of the Iranian population.
The regime also enjoys the backing of its biggest ally, Russia. According to the Washington Post, Moscow has been providing Iran with intelligence where to strike US targets. Still, Russia remains mostly preoccupied with its invasion of Ukraine.
Even if Iran asked Russia for help, Russia would not be able to assist its ally because Putin is very busy in Ukraine. The world has to be reminded, especially Russian allies, that with friends like Putin, they do not need any enemy.
The two conflicts becoming increasingly intertwined by the political, military and economic consequences. The United States has asked Kyiv for help in intercepting Iranian Shahed drones, the same killing machines that have wreaked havoc in Ukraine for the past 4 years.
The U.S. has a shortage of those interceptors if this is a protracted conflict. So it's also political, of course, though, because it's callous showing the U.S. in particular, look, Ukraine can contribute here to your military when we need you to contribute to European and Ukrainian security.
That sentiment echoed by Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky: help us stop our war and we will help you. And yet European officials are concerned that Trump's already shifted his interest to the Middle East.
Yes, the worry is there that it's diverting attention away.
Or other distractions. For TVP World, Kazimierz Łysiak.
Poland has dispatched 2 Air Force planes to Saudi Arabia to evacuate Poles caught in the US-Israeli conflict in Iran. The aircraft from Poland's first transport aviation base are en route to Riyadh, the Polish Armed Forces Operational Command reported on Saturday morning. Nearly 3,000 Polish citizens have already returned home via civilian and military flights. Officials warn the Middle East remains unstable, with the conflict affecting Saudi Arabia, the UAE and Qatar. The final evacuees are expected to arrive in Poland on Monday. Thousands of European citizens are stranded in the Middle East after the US and Israel attacked Iran on Saturday. Now, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk has said that the EU is willing to co-finance evacuation operations from the region, allowing people from one EU member state to board evacuation flights organized by another.
The European Union is ready to co-finance our evacuation operation under the European mechanism. If other European Union citizens can find space on board our aircraft, they are welcome to it. Of course, Polish citizens are our priority, but please use this mechanism flexibly and intelligently. Anyway, our citizens will also be able to use this mechanism on other countries' planes. I am asking for a very detailed coordination here. I am discussing this with other prime ministers and presidents. Everyone is keen to make the most of every seat on every plane and for it to be coordinated on a European level.
7 people have been killed and at least 15 injured in an overnight Russian ballistic missile strike on a residential building in the Ukrainian northeastern city of Kyiv. The deadly attack leveled a 5-story building, prompting Ukrainian emergency services to rush to the scene, with some people still trapped under the rubble. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky urged allies to respond, noting that Russia launched 29 missiles and 480 drones overnight. Kyiv and other Ukrainian cities have been hit by strikes targeting energy and railway infrastructure. 8-year-old girl Lisa Ostapenko has become popular for greeting Ukrainian soldiers returning from Russian captivity. They have now met her to express their gratitude.
Regardless of the weather, Lisa goes out to the road near her house to welcome the returning soldiers. Described by them as a symbol of hope, she has now been visited by the Chernobyl nuclear power plant defenders who spent almost 3 years in Russian captivity. As a token of gratitude, they presented her with several gifts, including a flag of the unit.
7 Ukrainian bank employees detained by Hungarian authorities have been released and have returned safely to Ukraine. The country's foreign minister, Andrei Sybiha, confirmed. Sybiha had earlier accused Hungary of taking the workers hostage and summoned Budapest's acting charge d'affaires in Kyiv. The employees from Ukraine's state savings bank, Oshad were transporting approximately $82 million in cash and gold from Austria to Ukraine via Hungary when they were detained. The bank is still working to recover the 2 vehicles and their cargo, which included $40 million, 35 million euros and 9 kilograms of gold. The incident marks the latest escalation in the dispute between Budapest and Kyiv, largely tied to the flow of Russian oil into Central Europe. TVP World's news director Adam Yasser commented on the latest Ukraine-Hungary tensions, saying, quote, Zelensky is making a political mistake because he's giving fuel to Orbán's campaign. His remark followed Zelensky's controversial statement about sending Ukrainian soldiers to Orbán's address to speak to him in their own language, a comment that drew criticism from both the Hungarian leader and the EU.
I think Zelensky unnecessarily fell into the trap by escalating the rhetoric. He should let it go, let these 3-4 weeks pass before the election, and then try to reach some kind of an understanding with either Orbán after the election or perhaps the new administration then. Again, I think the key issue here is that Orbán has been playing Russia's agent in Europe for many, many years now. He's been blocking EU initiatives on funding, on defense, and lining up with all the forces that want the European Union to fail in one way or the other. So everyone in Europe, I think, is now waiting for him to go and pave the way to an administration with whom you can have normal relationship. So I think from that point of view, Zelensky is making a political mistake because he's giving fuel to Orbán's campaign. Whether that is going to be enough for Orbán is another matter, because the opinion polls show that he's between 15 and 20 basis points behind the opposition Tisza party.
Calls for a cessation of hostilities in the Gulf are pouring in from across the world, with a growing number of non-Western countries condemning the strikes on Iran conducted by the United States and Israel. Our Africa correspondent, Sophia Ba, reports.
Leaders on the African continent have called for restraint after the attacks launched by the United States and Israel on Iran. While some support Tehran's rights to self-defense, others have denounced a violation of international law which threatens the stability of an entire region. The African Union said in a statement that the military strikes on Iran's subsequent response represent a perilous and deeply troubling escalation, one that marks a serious intensification of hostilities in the Middle East and threatens to engulf the entire region in an uncontrollable cycle of violence. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa was the first African leader to react individually, saying that the US and Israeli strikes on Iran completely violated international law with no regard for the consequences.
We have issued a clear statement that we want a ceasefire. We want this madness to come to an end. And Donald Trump is very busy right now. He's got a war on his hands, and obviously, opportunity were to open, we would talk and say there must be a ceasefire. Dialogue is always the best way of ending conflict and then ending war. And we want this war to come to an end immediately. We're losing too many lives, and unnecessarily so.
On the other hand, the Kingdom of Morocco, closer to Israel since the signature of the Abraham Accords, denounced in a statement what they consider as aberrant Iranian missile attacks that violated the integrity and security of brotherly Arab states. Other nations such as Senegal, Algeria, Kenya and Ghana have been calling for an immediate ceasefire since Saturday, while urging their citizens to exercise caution. I'm Sophia Ba, reporting from Dakar, Senegal for TVP World.
And that brings us to the end of this news bulletin. We'll be back on the hour, so see you then. Bye now.